I always love this phrase, and I think we have to keep it in mind. We don't want to rub people's faces in this stuff. Oh, America's bad. Hit the wrong button. 2 buttons, I hit the wrong button. Okay, here's the challenge. The carbon emissions per person, this is a bit of an old graph, okay? The United States consumes, for the most part, twice as much energy per person as just about any other country on the earth. Now, what do we say? Oh, isn't that bad? Aren't we bad? Isn't America bad? No, it's an opportunity. To business people, it's an opportunity for sustainability, because the ability to shrink that for your particular business and for your state economy and whatnot is going to give you competitive advantage over other states and other businesses that you're dealing with. Now, all is not what it seems. Here are some very strong sector images. I mentioned NASCAR, construction, the U.S. Navy has been into sustainability for a long time. The U.S. military, you wouldn't think it, but they are. And beer, we have up in Fort Collins, a company that's really so far ahead of other people in that industry, New Belgium Brewing. It's just amazing to watch what they've been doing, pursuing sustainability and growing as fast as you can imagine. Now, okay, let's look at some of these images here. Here's the U.S. Navy. Do you know that Blue Angels are now burning 50% biofuel? They're not just doing that because it's a cool thing to do. The military is very sharp. They're all the time playing with contingency plans. You don't think they're worrying about the supply of oil in the future, in the distant future, what would happen, how disruptive that would be? So it's not just the Blue Angels, but it's other machinery in the military as well. I talked about NASCAR, the top spectator sport in the United States, and we only have 2 people that are into this. 75 million followers of this one sport. We don't think of NASCAR as being green, but take a look at this. Now, the thing to focus on here, they're doing it in partnership with those big companies. So who's driving who here? I can tell you that in NASCAR, sponsors drive everything. A new building at Daytona and in Charlotte, North Carolina, LEED certified. All the races, and the fuel's going to be 15% ethanol now. But look what's underneath the logo there, American Ethanol with NASCAR. It says, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. And it's not to save the planet. Look at the final thing we say here. The fuel blend increases horsepower by 6 to 8%. So it's a performance thing that all the fans are looking at and say, yeah, this is good stuff. Brian France is the CEO of NASCAR. He's the son of Bill France, who created NASCAR back in the day. Again, that last phrase, important to almost all of our current sponsorship base. The sponsors are driving this in NASCAR. Now, if you look at the Indy cars, those are the open wheel cars, and the Formula One cars, they're on 100% ethanol. And look what the Indy cars are doing. They have a program to educate their fans about solar power and how good that is. Pocono Raceway has one of the biggest solar arrays in the country, 25-acre solar farm. That's a 2.5-mile oval track. 100,000 plus spectators sit there. Now, if you look at Infineon Raceway out in Marin County, look what they're doing. Waterless urinals. Think of the beer that's drunk at a NASCAR race. And they've got sheep and they've got owls to take care of to get the rodents, and they don't have to put down pesticides, and the sheep to cut the grass instead of a John Deere. All is not what it seems. And here's another thing. Green jobs. Green jobs are not about windmills and solar panels. They're about companies like this in Colorado Springs, Qualtech Manufacturing. They are a metal processing company, finishing company. They do heat treating and stamping and things like that. They have a shop of about maybe 80 employees or so. They are aggressively, we work with them, they're aggressively pursuing sustainable business practices and are going to save a ton of money doing it. As they save money, as they improve their financial performance and gain financial strength, they also open up new markets that are looking for dealing with companies in the supply chain that are also producing sustainably, because that accrues to their carbon footprint, which some of the bigger companies are already thinking about and doing. So it brings them along, and their growth, as this company grows, and it will grow. This would be a good bet. It's a private company, unfortunately. You can't put money in it. But this company will grow, and as it grows, it's going to hire new people. And what are those jobs? They're green jobs. Very few people are talking about this. These are just as green a job as somebody installing a solar panel. Now, I want you to challenge your own belief system right now. Anybody know the answer to this? Very good. Here he is. Now, he signed all of this into law. This body of legislation was not something that kind of happened down in the Congress and came up and ended up on his desk. These programs were initiated by the Nixon administration. They're the administration's programs. There were other things as well, but I won't go into the detail. Here's the Nixon's letter to Congress about NOAA. All is not what it seems. Remember the CFC, the chlorofluorocarbons, hairspray, burning holes in the ozone layer? Had to stop making that stuff. It was bad. But who's going to stop it? Well, a bunch of nations came together, and it occurred in Montreal, and they came together with the Montreal Protocol. The two leaders here who really pushed this were the two people that you see up there. And look at the results. That graph on the left is when the protocol went into effect. Look at the production of the CFCs over that period of time. It was so dramatic. It's probably the most phenomenal, successful case of nations coming together to deal with a serious problem with our environment, a man-made problem. Remember the acid rain back in the day over Canada, and Canada was complaining because of our coal plants in the U.S. and the acid rain and all of that. And how did the U.S. deal with that? Reagan was president at the time. How did they deal with it? Well, he asked this guy to deal with it. And this guy with his staff came up with something that was pretty new. Cap and trade. Take a gander at this. It's a good book, by the way. I recommend it, by Newt Gingrich and Terry Maple. Contract with the Earth. Here's another quote from Newt Gingrich's book. Strengthen both the economy and the environment. So all is not what it seems. Now, we have a tradition in this country. We have one of the greatest resources any country has, and that's the culture and the history of the Native Americans. But here we have Teddy Roosevelt and what he had to say. Certainly an icon of conservatism, and certainly an icon of conservation. It's in the word. The National Park Service, of course. Roosevelt jump-started that. Talked about the Native Americans and that consciousness. You know, all that work the Brundtland Commission did in the UN to come up with their definition of sustainability, just let these guys do it. They could have come up with that in 2 minutes. Here's our, going back to World War II. You want to get patriotic here? Going back to World War II. A history of conservation. Victory, the old victory gardens. Don't waste your food, eat your greens. This used to be part of the American fabric. This used to be the way in which we did stuff, the way in which we solved problems. Draw on this stuff as you frame your positions relative to sustainability. This is a crazy one here. Look at the handle under the humble pie pot. Amazing. I could go on and on with these. I love these posters. So we have a tradition here. And the thing to realize, particularly if you look historically, this is not a liberal or conservative movement. This isn't really that much to do with politics. It's become that, but we've got to go beyond that. We've got to step outside of that. And this is James Woolsey. He's anything but a liberal. He's got a Prius, a tricked out Prius. He gets 100 miles per gallon on his Prius up there. And he has a bumper sticker on that Prius that reads, "Osama bin Laden hates my car." Now he's since modified that sticker, putting an X over the Osama. So we really have to think about how we frame our positioning of sustainability and how we communicate it to others. That's all that I would like to see happen. Thank you.